And we are alive.
All right.
Thank you guys for joining. Of course, this is me, Skeeter Nathan, whatever you want to call me. That is me. I'm here tonight with the beautiful and talented Julianne, Indie award-winning actress, does fantastic work. Uh-oh,
Oh,
I didn't mute my phone, so we're gonna echo there. But her link is in the description. It's also in the chat box. You gotta check her channel out, check her work out, and sub her up there. And we're here tonight to talk about everything and anything indie.
yeah. Some of our favorite indie films. So, what was the first thing that you ever did? Like, you just did stand-up comedy. Was that
Yeah.
the first thing that you got into as far as that genre? Did you do
Um,
theater or anything else?
I my journey kind of started in the military. I'd do like little stand-up shows, and do different things for us as was deployed, and little goofy stuff. And then kind of ventured away from the stand-up for a while, and then I did the professional wrestling, which is to me is that's theater. I mean, it's
Yes,
you're projecting a story. Yeah, it might be physical violence, but you're still taking the crowd from here to here on a
right.
journey, on different journeys. And then, of course, doing, cutting promos, as they call it, and doing things like that. I mean, I learned a lot really as far as beats and cadence and how to do a lot really from the professional wrestling world that I kind of took into my stand-up comedy. But
Mhm.
yeah, stand-up comedy was kind of my first real flavor of realizing I just love to entertain without beating my body to death.
And you're good at it, obviously. You got a lot of work.
That's subjective, but yeah, I mean, I've been able to, I've got well over, what do they say? You got to have 1,000 minutes to be proficient. I got well over 1,000 minutes stage time. So, I mean,
Right.
I think I'm over the 10,000 minute stage time. We're close to somewhere before the COVID kind of cut the comedy club scene down a little bit.
Cut everything. Yeah.
Yes. So what was your first real piece that you did as far as
Um, I started in the art. I did arts my whole life. Like, I started dance and music when I was really young. My parents kind of pushed it on me. And then I went to one of those high schools that you had to audition to get into, like Fame, that kind of thing.
oh,
So I took theater there. So I would do 2 hours of theater a day plus my academics. So I did that throughout my high school. And then after that, I went to York University in Toronto for theater. And I was there for a year and a bit, and it got just a little too expensive. So I ended up going back to Ottawa, coming back to Ottawa and doing some other stuff. But in the meantime, I always kind of stayed in the theater scene, and the film stuff came really late for me. I didn't start doing film stuff until about 10, 11 years ago. So I'm 45 now. So, it was a later start for me. Um, I had come back to Ottawa after being in Toronto for a while, and a friend of mine that I went to high school with decided he was going to start making some films. And we were friends on Facebook, and he's like, "You got to come out and audition and do some stuff." I'm like, dude, I haven't been on an audition in like, I can't count how many years. Like, I don't know what good I'd be for you. And he's like, that's okay. I haven't made a movie in a million years. Just come on out. And so that's where it started. I ended up doing stuff for him, and I actually started doing. I was his cinematographer because the guy he had kind of conked out, and I did photography kind of as a hobby, and it was more of a still shot movie. It was called Attack of the Gorilla, and it was a black and white B movie, purposely meant to be
nice.
funny horror stuff. It's still out there. It's on Vimeo, and so I started there, and then from there got to meet everybody else in the community, and we started doing just tons of other films, short films, feature films. I stuck with this guy for quite a while. He ended up passing away, and
Oh,
yeah, and he was a big part of our community. But from then, we made all sorts of friends and connections, and that's where I met my husband through filming, was actually through a fundraising night. We were fundraising for one of our movies and he showed up, and he was,
That's awesome.
yeah, he was well known in the Ottawa community, and I really wasn't at the time. And I thought, he's not going to talk to me. Why would he want to talk to me? And so we just ended up talking, and then from there we've made movies, and now we're Eagle Wolf Productions. That's our company. So
Awesome. Yeah. You guys got a lot of great content for sure. I went down, I mean, and binge watched what you guys have there.
that's cool.
I really enjoyed it. And as I'm at like Tyler and I with Terror Barn production, we're at like the very like infancy, you know what I mean? Like, uh, we got a lot of stories that we have got going, but to get them on film or on, well, it's not really film anymore, but everybody still calls it film, digital media film, whatever. We're still in the process. I mean, we got the Black Door coming. It was supposed to come out last month, but the COVID kind of crushed it. You know, that's why we did our little Halloween piece, getting sympathy for the shape. We did that little piece, and then we got the Black Door, which will hopefully be out by the end of this month.
Right.
And then we're gonna keep building from there. Hey, Redneck, how you doing, Richard? So yeah, that's kind of, we're at the infancy with it, and it's definitely. I mean, for me, it was kind of a weird thing. I had opened for Pauly Shore and went to like a private screening. Is where I first met Pauly, and he had a docu-series that was getting ready to come out, and to my knowledge, and it still hasn't never came out. I don't think nobody's ever picked it up, but he told me to upload some of my videos with my characters to backstage.com, I believe.
Okay.
And that's what kind of connected me to the Universal world. You know, was through that. It kind of kicked me over to there.
Right.
Then that madness of auditioning there for the Fast 9. I was there for like, oh man, 12, 13 hours or whatever it was, going through the whole motions and things, and was told I had got it. And then Hobbs and Shaw come out first, so it changed the script, which pushed me out, which landed me into film school and all these things. And then the COVID, they backed out. So now, through all of that, you know, like was talking a little bit before we came live, that kind of planted the seed of, I think I'd rather be independent anyways, to do things our way, than not have rules and kind of project what we're trying to do. Hey, how we doing, Dreams? Hey, Jimmy. So yeah, that's kind of how I got there, and my writing partner and partner out of general, Tyler, he's fantastic. I mean, when it comes to story or the cinema eye, or you know, I mean, the yin to the yang. I'm the wild man. I just wants to throw everything at it, and he's the one that kind of takes all my crazy ideas and smashes them down to what we can do.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the first things I learned about. I got thrown in, right? Like my first wasn't a short. Like my first indie film was a full feature, and I got thrown right in, and I was, you know, and I learned really quickly that making a film was like raising a child. It takes a village, right? You need like a whole lot of people, however many you can get, and we're just lucky. The Ottawa film community is huge and really supportive, and my son is in a lot of our films, and he's part of it too. And
awesome.
Yeah, that's been really cool.
Yeah, see where I'm at here, Indiana, close to the Ohio border. There's really not that many places you can pull. You know, there's not really a big independent film. I mean, you could go to Indianapolis or maybe even Columbus and kind of, there's a scene there, but it's still not you know, that big. It's kind of a small around here. So I think, I mean, that's a blessing and a curse. I mean, we're introducing something new to a smaller area that I believe has the potential to grow, because you have you got a lot of stage theater and performance arts and things like that around here, but as far as like independent film or anything like that, there's really not that many. So I believe we got a lot of places we can pull for talent, and we got a lot of people that's interested just off that little piece that we did, that little 5-minute ordeal that we just did in October. the town kind of opened up and allowed me to film. We got permission to film in a graveyard at night, which I thought was like a, as a twisted kid, I love the horror. Being at the graveyard after night has always been like, hey man, I'd love to, you'd sneak in and do dumb things, but to actually go to the sheriff's office, he's like, yeah, cool, just call us and let us know. So we're out there with our LED panels in the middle of the night in this old graveyard. It was a lot of fun just for that. Other than getting rained on and
Right.
not really having a cover set back up. So I mean, we kind of got hit there, but hey.
Yeah. Well, we've done that, eh? We've done shots in the rain and the mud, and you lie down in the dirt. And I actually, in one film, I was a cinematographer. I had to lie. I was getting a POV shot, and I had to lie on the ground and look up as if I was this person who was getting beaten by hockey sticks.
Oh.
And one of these girls actually hit me in the eye with her hockey stick. And I remember lying there and doing it. And I said nothing. And I could hear everybody from the side just go, ooh. They knew I'd been hit. And all I could think of was just get the shot, just get the shot, just get the shot. And it kept going. And then as soon as the director yelled cut, I just grabbed my face and rolled over. And oh God, and I ended up with this black eye for a week. And she felt so horrible, this girl. I said, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's cool. It happens. But I mean, you really throw yourself in there,
Yeah. So, that's another thing for me. Like when we're out and we're doing these things, like, of course I've had a back operation since, so I probably shouldn't do some of these things, but my professional wrestling brain kicks in. I'm like, I can take these bumps still. Like I'll just dive off of this. It'll be authentic.
Yeah.
Hitting the ground. It'll be great footage. And Tyler's already like, no, dude, you're not jumping off of this. Like we'll just make it look like you jumped off of that. Chill out. We got it.
Yeah, probably better.
Hey, Marky Mark. So yeah, I mean, I'm like right now, like in the works. Of course, the Black Door is kind of what we're trying to push now, and to get the last bit of funding we need and get that over the top and actually get that done. But we do have a full feature that we have written. It's a very rough draft, playing off the Skeeter character and the whole Sasquatch type vibe, almost like the. It would fall under the buddy comedy genre for sure, but that and the Krampus. I mean, we got several different projects that we have to build on. But as far as you would like, do you got any upcoming projects or anything that you're working on currently?
Yeah, well, we're in post-production right now for our last feature film. There's clips of it on my Twitter, and we have some stuff on most people work on Facebook in the Ottawa community group, and I kind of pulled away from Facebook for a while. I've had to go back though, but it's called Soldier in the Barn, and it's a piece about a boy who finds a book and actually brings this a soldier from the past into the present. And yeah, in the past, our other movies have been like action or more adult. This is a child's film. It's a kid's film, and it was a lot of fun. It was a completely different type of film for us. So we're in editing for that, but we got some authentic World War II reenactors. We had full cannon scenes and everything. It was amazing. Like we just got really lucky with the people that we met. And our main actor, Lawrence Evanchek, he's a very well-known theater actor here in our area, super talented, and my son actually plays the boy in the film.
Okay.
And but it's a ton of kids in the movie, and it was so much fun working with kids. I love working with kids. But it is a little different with the scheduling. You can't work a kid for 10 hours at a day, right? Like we're used to, that was a little bit of a learning curve. I know for Richard, when we were doing the scheduling, with the grown-ups, we can work for long days and we're sort of used to it. But with kids, you can't do that. Not only because it's illegal, but they get tired and cranky, and, you can't do it. So it took a little bit longer for us to film it. And now our problem is Well, Sylvain Desjardins, he's the one who filmed it and is doing the main editing and the music. We need ADR, and his ADR, the sound is set is in his basement, and we can't really get to his house with the COVID and getting people in and out safely. So we're trying. Getting the ADR right now is sort of the main trick that we're trying to do. And for people who don't know what ADR is when you have to re-record the sound. Like maybe we had a couple of really windy days, or we filmed one scene in a very busy restaurant, so we couldn't hear everything. So we have to go back and refilm the dialogue so people can hear it and put it into the film in the sound editing.
The post is like for me, like when I first got the bug in my ear, like a few years back from Polly to do a Skeeter piece, I did not realize how much goes into actually doing a real film. I thought, just grab a camera and we'll just wing it as we go, and that would have been the dumbest thing I could have possibly done, And now looking back at that, I'm like, hey Uber, how you doing?
Yeah,
that'd been
it's a lot of work.
that'd been stupid of me. But it's led to this process and forced me to learn the real process and how these things really do connect. And as far as starting from screenwriting to distribution, the steps and the people aligned and the things, the proper way to do things. And I'm enjoying, because I'm still very in my infancy at this, but I enjoy the learning process. I enjoy the process and the grind of doing these things, and have found that I enjoy being behind the camera just as much as I enjoy being in front of it. I enjoy that process of like finding, when you're out there and you find that perfect shot, or you just get that feeling. You just get that feeling of, oh wow, this scene is gelling. This is going to be great. Like, the only example I got so far is the graveyard shot that we did, the mask revealing of Michael, with the little comedy thing. When Michael takes off a mask, everybody's expecting to see Michael's face, but you see him with the Michael COVID mask on.
Right. Yeah, that was great.
So was trying to, like, in our minds, we wanted to do like a comedy piece, and then in post, when Tyler put like the kind of the sad lower tone music, it kind of hit with a different message. You still had the comedy, of course, of me being an idiot and doing the Chris Farley kicks and the dumb stuff towards the pumpkin in the window, the ridiculous mask reveal that he pulls that off, and it's just and trying to give the puppy dog eyes with the COVID mask on. I mean, we had a blast doing that whole little piece, but just that final shot of like seeing everything, as we're out there, we're covered in rain, it's pouring rain, and we're trying to, we didn't have nothing to protect our equipment with this. Was just, so we're out there trying to rush it. But that scene there, we knew, like, okay, man, that is. And then the mask flip, as the film ends, the mask flip and lands in between the headstone and the knife.
Yes.
That was completely, like, the first one I did didn't work. I'm like, okay, well, I just need to put a little bit more air on it. So I flipped it up.
Right.
And Tyler's like, don't move. Like, and then he showed me, and somehow it hit perfect. Like I just dropped it there, but I realized I flipped it and it hit. And I love that feeling of those little connections where like, okay, this is going to work. Like, we got it now.
Yeah, it's nice when things work out. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, as far as with the Black Door, we pretty much got everything funded, equipment side, and right now we're trying to just get together, for the costume and props, which, again, me being very new to this and just being moronic to it, did not realize, okay, if you got this character and you got this character and you got these things going on, they can't do it naked. And it got to make sense.
Good. That's a different kind of movie.
Yeah. We could do it naked, but then the Black Door would probably turn into the Back Door, and it'd be a different genre.
Right.
And then that would be a completely different thing. So
age restriction.
Yeah. So I mean, we could, but so I was excited because a character that I so badly want to be in this piece, because this is going to be our actual first short feature with dialogue and things happening. And I so bad want that Satan character to be, as we was discussing before, I guess would be a little teaser to everybody, just having the Satan's cane, and that'd be a nod to Stephen King, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of pulling like from what John Carpenter did with the original Halloween, a lot of nods to Alfred Hitchcock in that film.
Right.
But Tyler and I kind of both agreed, like with our films, we kind of want to put those little nods in to some of our idols. So like people that know would know, but they're very subtle,
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying that part. Hey Lisa, how you doing? I'm just really enjoying finally being able to get together and do, like, because there for a while our work schedules and things wasn't lining up, and now we finally have set days that we can do things and actually get this Terror Barn production thing rolling, hopefully.
That's good. Yep. Bit by bit, day by day. And I think you were telling me, it was really interesting. I was asking you about makeup, and you were telling me about a family member.
Oh yes, my niece. Yeah, my niece. She's
important. Yeah.
Yes, she's young. She's 16, but she's very good, and that's one of her things she wants to do is special effects and makeup, and she is pretty phenomenal with a paintbrush. Like me, kind of looks like. I don't know, if I try to draw a straight line on my face, it's almost like Michael J. Fox did it. Like it's
yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it. But she's pretty phenomenal at it, as far as like creating wounds and doing the different things. So she's definitely be brought on board for the special effects and the makeup and that we'll be doing. And that's a beautiful thing about. I love October. I love Halloween. I love everything about it. But now that I'm in the filmmaking, I really love the day after Halloween when everything's like 50% off.
Yeah, that's our favorite time. We hit it there. We planned the whole day out.
Yes, you go there and just stock up on your makeup and props and have everything stocked. And
absolutely. Yeah.
That's what I did with the little bit of funds that I had already for the Black Door, was just go straight spirit of Halloween and be like, okay, pull this and pull that. And,
definitely.
So yeah, I'm loving it. Oh, you're fine, Lisa. This one's working. This one's working for Julianne and I. Yeah, Julia, they're part of the roundtable crew. We all like share a StreamYard thing. I'm completely ignorant to, like I said, the second party streaming thing, and they got everything set out. So they're like, Skeeter, we'll just do it simple as possible. You just log in and click on your face, and you can go. So. Because I'm used to the Google Hangouts thing where you could go and shoot a link and just take off.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because before everybody just used Google, and now some people are using Streamlabs, some people are using OBS, some people are using StreamYard, some people are using Zoom. So you have to get to know every single one. And I don't go on a lot of panels anymore. The only panels I've ever done in our group, in our community, have been anything to do with film. So Uber and I did a bunch of movie streams. I think they're still up. And then Diane did a bunch of movie streams on her panel. And that's it. But that was all with Google Hangouts. So
yeah. See, I don't.
This is all new.
Yeah, for me, like I stepped away from YouTube for a long. I mean, because of life and general things I was going through behind the scenes, and then just the crazy, the whole drama community crap that exploded out. I'm like, that's not me. I want nothing to do with that. So
I don't do anything there.
No, so I just took a step back, and like usually if I'm on panel, I'm on the roundtable panel where we get in there and we just goof off and just do.
That's nice.
Just be our insane selves, and then what I'm trying to do with this channel here is to do things like you and I are doing, and and like we talked about, maybe making like this a weekly podcast where we just do everything indie, and doing things like that is kind of where I want this channel to be. And then my goofy little skits that I'm very, I don't know what you call it. Like there's a lot of insane things up here. So if I get bored, I might be in a dress and become Kiki, or I might freak out on Twitch, or I might do a skeet. That's kind of what this channel is still going to be. But I'd love for this to be more of like kind of doing what we're doing, networking, talking about indie films and different type of podcasts and little comedy skits, and then having all of our production stuff over on the Terror Barn production page. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy coming back in now, coming back into the people that I've missed interacting with and talking to, and kind of catching them up. And I think I've matured a lot in a lot of ways. And I kind of got a clearer mind of how to use this great tool of YouTube for,
Yeah.
networking and distributing. And, so yeah, I'm definitely enjoying my little, I haven't really come back steady, but, I've been back a little bit here and there, but yeah. So I definitely think us doing this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately, because I know, well, we come from the drama community. Streams like this don't bring in a lot of views, and I think that's why some people were doing movie stuff, but then there's all sorts of copyright issues.
Sure.
So anybody who did anything movie related wasn't getting a whole lot of views, but I don't really care about that. I'd rather have like 10 people who really want to talk about film and then build from there.
Exactly.
That's much more fun for me than anything else.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with you 100%. I'd rather have 3 people in here and enjoying the conversation and interaction and having fun than doing any of that mess, because I think, well, you and I both, we got a lot more going than just this. We got projects and bigger things, and hopefully when the COVID lets up, get back, because I'm really excited to get into the film festival scene and to do that. I mean, that's, to me, sounds amazing and almost impossible in this weird COVID time that we're in. But I really would enjoy getting around, a lot of like-minded people and rubbing elbows and getting pointers and just picking people's brains and making those connections. And
it's so much fun. The very first film festival I went to, I really didn't have much to do with the movie. I was just going with Richard with a film that he did called Scarecrow Club, which is phenomenal and I think should be out there a whole lot more. It's based on if the Nazis were to win an election and take over Ontario, and it was a political, it was fantastic. It was amazing. I don't know if it's still on Vimeo. Is it still on Vimeo? Yep. It's still on Vimeo. It's called Scarecrow Club. And a fantastic film. And we went for that, and that was when it was called the Action on Film Festival, and it's in LA. It's Las Vegas now, but it was in LA, and we used to go to that. The very first time I went there, I met so many people, and I wasn't really as involved in the film, but my favorite thing was just standing around and talking to people and hearing them telling their stories about how they made their films. And I met this girl from Japan whose parents didn't want her to be in film, but she did it anyway. She's doing really great. All these amazing stories about where people were coming from and problems they had on their set and how they fixed. It was the greatest time just to meet everybody else and hear everybody else's stories. It's totally worth it. Even if your movie wasn't there, just to go meet everybody was so much fun. So I miss it. Yeah.
Sure. Imagine, to me, like me coming in, that's kind of what, before the COVID thing hit, that was Tyler and I's kind of game plan. It's like, man, it's a perfect time because, well, it was like at the beginning of COVID, when the major productions kind of shut down for a while. Yeah. And we really wasn't it wasn't mass spread in this horrible situation we're in now. Which I think, again, this is a horrible, horrible situation with this whole COVID pandemic, and it's such a tragedy. But I also believe it's a well-needed refresh button. You know what I mean? Like, now everything's so quiet and everything's so still, to where that's a lot of self-reflection, and it's a lot of looking in the mirror and kind of seeing where you're at and where you want to be. And for us being independent filmmakers, it also opens up doors, because people want entertainment and people are looking in different areas for that now. And I think it kind of opened different avenues for us. I mean, I know the streaming services, it's kind of like a really cash grab right now. They're trying to grab up, as far as like Amazon Prime for sure is. And that's kind of why the full feature that I have written is more Sasquatchy because Amazon Prime, like they want to swoop up anything Sasquatch. It can be the dumbest thing, and just because Sasquatch is on there, they kind of want to swoop it up. I don't know who's running that or whatever. I forget his name. Jeff something another that runs the Amazon Prime video streaming. He's fascinated with Sasquatch. So through one of my professors, instructors in film school, he knows the guy very well, and he's seen the rough draft of this, and he's all excited, thinking, "Oh man, that'd be a great way." And so when you get that done, let me know. We'll plug it to him. So maybe my Sasquatch streams old Skeeter Sasquatch streams going to pay off.
Yeah. Well, things like that pick up. We had a film that we did with a friend of ours at a cabin, and we made the film in like 4 days. It was not a great film, but it was fun as heck. And it was called Ragnarok's Cabin. It was on Amazon Prime for a little bit, and I don't think it is anymore. And we're trying to get our next one, Crusher. We're talking to somebody a little bit more serious about having it on and having it on a little bit longer. So, but places like that are great for people like us, like the indie. Netflix even is starting to do a little more.
Yeah.
They'll take ideas and stuff like that, but Amazon Prime seems to be very supportive. So.
Oh, absolutely. And again, if there's one, I don't know if you would call it even positive, because it's hard to pull a positive out of this COVID situation. But I mean, one thing that did open up is, I think they take independent projects and films and things a little bit more serious now, because there's a lot of good stuff out there. Just because we don't got the budget of, like we was discussing earlier, independent film of $700,000. Just because we don't have this high budget doesn't mean there's not great story there, and there's not a great product. And I think it's bringing a little bit more eyes to that, and I think that's a great thing. And hopefully just getting stuff out, that's the hard part. That's the flip side of the coin with the COVID. Just being able to film and get things out is such probably a hard task, but then you add this mess on top of it, and it's like 20 times harder that I'm finding out.
But it's given us the opportunity. We've had to become a lot more inventive in our problem solving, and coming up with ways to. I even had a friend pitch a film idea to us. They were going to film it. They would film their part there, and my part was just audio, and I would film it here, and we would, it was just a different type of short where obviously we weren't in the same room. It was meant to be more of a visual on their part and audio on my part coming together of, I don't even know if I should be saying it, but we're not big budget or anything. The idea is that I was supposed to be in some sort of a capsule, and I was going to be going into the sun, and they couldn't get a visual on me. They were in NASA, they were in the headquarters, and they couldn't get a visual on me. All they could do was hear me. So I was going to be going sort of to my death. But all you could do was hear me. So that was another way of trying to create some sort of film without having to get everybody in the same room together. And, if you're not an animator too, if you're, that seems to be going okay. All the Family Guy and everything, they're all coming out still.
Oh,
a little bit easier to work around. But the live action films are a little bit harder. So it definitely makes you be more creative.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got to find little ways around, the saying that is deadly is we'll fix it in post, but now
all the time I say that.
Yeah, but now it's kind of like the rule of thumb now with the COVID thing is, guess we got to fix it in post somehow. So that's to me, I think it's hard for me, like when people ask me like what's the most enjoyable part for you, and of course the most enjoyable part is having that finished product, right, and kind of seeing the feedback, negative or positive, just kind of seeing that what you did. But I really enjoy like the creation, having a thought that you put to paper that turns into a screenplay, that turns into shot days. So I'd have to say like the screenwriting to me is the writing part is probably the most enjoyable because that's the birth, if you will. The no, maybe not the birth, but that's when you just found out that you're having a kid. Maybe
Mhm.
that's kind of like, you got like
Yeah, yeah.
the pregnancy test part of the film. What would you say your most enjoyable part of this whole the whole filmmaking process is?
It changes for me. I mean, there's some days you're out there and you're so miserable. You're filming in the cold and the rain, and you just want it to end. But then somebody makes you laugh, and you break up laughing. It's the little things like that that I enjoy so much. I love being with the people. I love meeting. We do a lot of festivals around, like, we have a lot of like the little Ottawa film things that we go to. And one of my favorite things is meeting new filmmakers. And then when we go to the screenings, you get to see the new filmmakers bring out their new stuff. And I don't know why, I get a real big kick out of that. I always enjoy seeing the new stuff, the younger ones coming out, and some of their ideas. But actually filming, I don't know. I don't know if it's the end product for me. That's always nice, but I think I enjoy just the process more, just
Sure.
the parts in between, getting to, film, be with people that, you enjoy being with, and coming up with, hearing great ideas, and learning new ways of getting around things or working with stuff, and doing the costumes and the makeup. In indie film, you got to be able to do everything. You got to be able to do makeup and hair, and then the director has to be the sound guy for 2 minutes, and that kind of thing. You got to jump back and forth, so you got to be able to multitask. So
Yeah, we don't got the pleasure of having DPs and grip heads
no,
and boom operators and makeup. It's you're everything. Like,
yeah, pretty much, pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah. I mean, I think it's fun. Like you said, you got to enjoy that process, and I enjoy that challenge of, okay, I'm behind the camera working on this, and then okay, this is what we're going to do, and then I got to get in character and then flop on the other side and do it. But
Mm.
then, like, in the back of your head, you know the way it's supposed to be done, so as you're doing it, you're thinking, I'm screwing this up. Like, but I like you said, I enjoy the process of, and I think it's great too to be able to learn, what each person needs to do, what like a grip head or a
Yeah,
Foley guy, or these different terminologies that I was completely ignorant of before I
right,
was kind of forced into film school.
right,
And then that's another big question. People ask, do you really need film school? And I would say no, you don't really need it, but it's a good asset. I mean, it forces like somebody like me to learn
right.
the process and to learn what location scouters or Foley guys or grip head, or these different positions that you just the departments, even like sound department, all the lighting departments and things that I didn't know really existed. So I think you definitely can get by without film school, but film school for me anyways has been a blessing because it forced my hyperactive tail to sit down and actually go through and learn the
Mm.
things necessary to be able to do these things. And so yeah, I agree with you there. Just being out there in it, and so far it's just been Tyler and I, and with this Black Door project, there's going to be more. We're actually going to have dialogue and that's another thing. Like I didn't realize, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but writing dialogue that is natural, the natural verbiage is so damn frustrating at times. You sit down to do it and it's like they don't even who says that? Nobody says that. And then having to rewrite that dialogue because so I'm really excited about actually doing a short piece, which again, I think at first Tyler and I is just going to stick to the 5 to 10 minute rule of thumb,
Mhm.
to kind of, okay, once we get proficient in 5 to 10 minute shorts, we're going to up it to maybe 10 to 20 minute shorts and get proficient in that. Just kind of work our way into a feature is kind of our game plan is
Mhm.
just getting proficient, getting out there, doing the things the right way, planning things out instead of just who's going to call it? I don't know. IDK Productions at first because we never know. We're just like, yeah, we're just going to do it. Let's go. Um, but yeah, that's kind of our plans as far as where we're going to take the Terraborn Productions, and we got a lot of things. Like he's a fantastic musician himself, Tyler
It's
Terry.
always good to have.
Yeah, he has his own channel, Tyler Terry now. He's a fantastic musician, and we got a few music videos we're going to want to do for him, because I mean some of these my favorite song that he's done is called "The Devil," and it's a great song where he is giving the devil's perspective, kind of we got this image of Satan in our head of being so horrible, but what if he wasn't? What if he was just? It's just a great. I'm a big lyric person and a big story person, anyways, and it's just a great song. And we definitely have plans to do a music video for that as soon as the weather allows it and the COVID. So.
Music videos are a lot of fun. That's a whole different thing. I've been lucky enough to do a couple of those, and yeah, it's a whole different thing on its own. I guess it depends what kind of music video you do, but
yeah. I'm trying.
The musician's world is a different world.
For sure, yeah. See, that's kind of. Let me see if I can find. I'm gonna try to link that video in the chat if I still remember how to do that without being a complete moron. There we go. I think I'm doing it right.
You going to bed?
See, be away from YouTube so long you kind of forget everything. But there we go. Pass that up. Post that data. There is the link for everybody in the chat which checks out. If you want to check out that song, "The Devil."
Yes. Sure.
It's a great, because to me, even if it's film, if it's song, whatever type of entertainment it is, to me the story got to be great, right? Or you don't really have anything. And I think for us, and being in the indie scene, stories, we don't got the CGIs, we don't got the $900,000 budget, so the story is really what has to drive that piece forward and make people stay around for that next scene. And I'm just a big fan of that. And within that song that he did, the story of it's just freaking. I'm fanboying out for my best friend right now, but it's a great piece, and I look forward to doing that music video as well.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. I'm trying to see if there's anything. I'm sorry, I haven't even been looking at chat. I don't even know what people are talking about.
I've been eyeballing. We ain't ignoring you, chat. I've been eyeballing. Hello, everybody. Wolf. I don't think I have Wolf and Captain Jerk and Doris. If you guys have any questions about the process, fire them out. I mean, Julianne's definitely way farther in the game and been doing this a lot longer than I, but.
Well, different. Yeah, we've done different stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if we do any other future ones, we can show some of our shorts, when we're on here.
Sure.
When they're on there, and then people can, I don't know, ask about it or talk about it. I always think it's fun to watch shorts with the people who make them. Get to see their own reactions.
Yeah.
It's always fun. Like, what the hell was I thinking? Why did I do that?
even with that Halloween piece, I talked to you on my way over to do that last shot, and up to the last second, literally, that piece was going to be something different, and in post, when, because Tyler was a madman. He did the post all in one day, one night, because our work schedules, and once he put that sympathy type vibe to it, the music, it kind of changed the direction of that piece to be like getting sympathy for the shape. So we went with it that way. I mean, of course, you got your ridiculous, like Michael Myers wiping down rails and doing kung fu kicks and all these silly, stupid things that I was hoping to get like a comedy pop there without it being like an over the top COVID cheesy promo. But it was fun. We had a blast. We had a blast doing it. And me being a big Michael Myers nut, like I'm
nice.
I'm insanely in love with just John Carpenter in general. But then you got John Carpenter, and you got The Shape, and you got Dr. Loomis, and you got the goddess of all goddesses with Laurie Strode. To me, the original Scream Queen.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis to me is.
Yeah.
I don't care if she's 150 years old. She's still the most gorgeous woman in the world. I think.
She's
Like,
really cool. Yeah, she's a really cool chick. Yeah.
and very versatile. Like she can play so
Yes.
many different roles. It's like phenomenal, you know.
Yeah.
And I love the twist they did on the new one where she was kind of the hunter, you know, the
Right.
hunted and the hunter, and she was just completely badass in that film, and I loved how they did that.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so I'm like crazy infatuated with it, and it's like this is my time of year. So when like October is over, I go into like a mental state of mourning
Yeah.
because
Well, some people you just do it all year round. That's where you get like the Krampus and the Nightmare Before Christmas and all the crossovers and
sure,
yeah,
yeah.
I was that way when I was fascinated with horror when I was younger and saw movies I probably shouldn't have way too young, like Alien and probably maybe I was 10 when I saw that movie, you know, the original Alien and all sorts of movie. I got really fascinated with the special effects. It just
Sure, yeah.
pulled me in, and I was a complete geek. I started reading like Fangoria and watching all the shows, and wanted to know how they did everything. And
Sure.
I was a real Nightmare on Elm Street sort of person. That was my
Oh yeah.
I like that series. That was more of my thing. I came a little bit later to the. I did see Halloween and the original one and 1 and 2, but I hadn't seen the Jason movies until much later. That I was a little bit. That was a little bit later to the party on that one. Um, so I guess being so interested in all the special effects, it gives you a different idea of what the horror is, right? Because you get
Right.
so, you know, it changes you. And I will say this: when I became a mother, it did change what I wanted to watch.
Sure.
I didn't want to watch the same kind of. I watch it differently. You know, my son is 16, and it has changed over time. I have a harder time kind of watching the, you know, especially when there's any kids, it's teenagers. There's a lot of horror movies with teenagers in it, and you know, as a mother, you're just like, oh god, you know, I don't know if I want to watch that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from a film perspective, I guess I really like the older stuff because they didn't rely on the special effects, right? Like even the original Alien had the special effects, but if you go to the black, like yeah, like the black and white the original Haunting, for example, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like you relied, they didn't have any of that then. You relied completely on your own instinct. You relied on the sound, the lighting, the shadow, how they shot, how the person was looking. It was like a guttural sort of fear. You know, you could really
Yes.
feel it. Now it's all movie monsters, and you know, with the remake, I wasn't impressed with the remaking of it. You know, that kind of thing, and you know, then they start remaking Jason and Halloween and don't touch Freddy Krueger, and they did it, and you know, what are you
Well,
doing then?
I will give you some hope with Freddy. Robert Englund said he has one more Freddy film in him.
I
So
heard that actually. Yeah. Yeah.
so maybe we'll get redemption from that piece of crap they tried to throw out. Because it's like you can't replace John Lennon. You know what I mean? You
Right.
can't take Robert Englund out of Freddy.
No, it's sacrilege, man.
You can't do that. And to me, and to your point on the special effects, practical effects to me,
Hmm.
it's so much more important than like the CGI monster of,
Yeah.
like, because to me, if the actor or actress is truly afraid in that scene, it's
Hmm.
going to, it's going to come through and
Yeah.
it's going to hit that audience the same way it's hitting him or her. And I think, staring at this green dot, that's not
Hmm.
going to be scary for that actress. She can portray
Right.
it and she can be a
Exactly.
fantastic actress and a fantastic actor, but there's only so much you can do staring at this green dot. Now, if you don't like, because, I guess on John Carpenter's the original Halloween, nobody's seen Michael. Like nobody's
Right.
seen the shape at first until they started filming and he started coming around and you'd get
Right.
that true terror. And
You could see it for
um,
sure. Yeah.
that's why I'm so much of a bigger fan of practical effects above CGI. One, it's way off the budget for me to even think that way anyway.
Right.
And two, I like it. It's more relatable. If you see
Yeah.
like somebody on screen petrified. And I think that's why Alfred Hitchcock is such a genius, because
Yeah.
he would just prey on these natural human emotions and the seven deadly sins and just get you so caught up into that story that it was true terror and fear and thrill. And when we
Well,
do
he played on his own fears too. I mean, he was terrified of birds.
yes,
That came out in his film. So yeah.
well, what is interesting, because we again was talking, everybody I think that has been successful and is doing film, you gotta have that partner, whether it be a best friend, a significant other, whatever it might be. You gotta have that yin to the yang. And
Yes.
what I didn't realize until later on is Alfred Hitchcock's wife, even with Psycho, she was a big player in a lot of those films.
Yes.
And Hitchcock would not move forward without his wife's nod on something.
Right. Right.
And the influence she had in bringing that, I think she loses a lot of credit, and she should probably get a lot more credit, because she was phenomenal in a lot of, especially in Psycho. Their daughter was supposed to play the role of the first, I'm sorry, the sister in Psycho that comes in trying to figure out. That was supposed to be their daughter, but she ended up getting pregnant. So that was the story. I mean, just these little geeky details that I love to find out about things, which shows you that everybody's just as chaotic on however big scale or small scale. It's kind of the same controlled chaos and getting something out. But
one of my maybe my all-time favorite film is The Exorcist, the original Exorcist. And it is, I know pretty much everything about that movie, and I've seen almost everything behind the scenes and the days of filming and when they put it out and how it affected everybody. That is, in its essence, I mean, they had to actually make the dressers move. They had to actually push actors got hurt when they were pushing them up and down, and there were no faked special effects. That was all, because I mean, they made the girl with the head turn around, but that was about it. Everything else was real, right?
No,
100% real.
And look how that impacted people. I mean,
that is, I mean, it's iconic. It's just iconic. And I mean, at the time, I mean, I was I was raised Roman Catholic. I'm not anymore, but it's still there. It's like, you can take the girl out of the church, but I mean, it's a terrifying premise, right? And I think that's why it affected so many people the way it did. And you can see if you go on YouTube, there's feature little movies about how people were passing out, and they had to have the ushers walk around with the salt caps and everything to wake people up. And I mean, could you imagine having a movie that had that much of an impact, that you were something like that? I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, there's very few of like The Exorcist that age so well. It's awesome. Yeah. I mean, even being as an adult, like you said, watching as a kid terrified the hell out of me. But then going back and watching as an adult, it still kind of had that same creepy effect, And another nod is like the George Romero doing the original Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Which is I'm not a big zombie person per se, but the way George Romero did the Night of the Living Dead and kind of wrote the rules of the zombie genre that The Walking Dead kind of picked up off a lot. That's another one. I mean, I think, that movie was in the late 60s, and it's still, you go back and watch, I mean, the black and white version, the color version kind of takes it away for me, but the original black and white version, even as an adult watching that, it's like, I still want to tell my wife, he got to hold me tonight.
So with all the lights on, like a kid, for sure.
It's like, and then now I'm the man of the house. So if there's a bump, which I don't understand this, like, just because I'm the man of the house and there's a crazy bump in the middle of the night, where is it written that I gotta go check that crap out? Like, I don't get it. Like, the bump in the house, why can't I just look up my wife and, hey, yo, go. It's your turn. So if I hear you scream, I know to get out of the house. Like, there's like an unwritten rule. If you're the man of the house, there's a bump. You gotta go check it out. But
no, it's the same. But that's because my husband sleeps through everything. And I'll wake up at anything little, so I'm always the one checking it out anyway. Yeah,
See, I get the elbow. I'm the same way like your husband. Like I can sleep through a hurricane. So
right.
she'll hear the noise and elbow me to death until I wake up, and then she's like, I heard something. Like, yeah, it's just the wind. Let me go back to sleep. It's just the wind. And so
Yes, the winds. It's the wind. And in your head, yeah, everything that's there. I hear it. I know.
yeah, see, I don't know. That's another beautiful thing for me. It's just like talking about word like real life stuff and getting that into a film. You know,
That's where it comes from. Yeah.
yeah, and doing it in a real way. And again, it goes back to practical things,
Mhm.
practical effects, and you can't. I don't believe you can get the same emotion like if you take Exorcist and they CGI the crap out of that. It would
Yeah.
ruin. It would ruin that
Well, did you
film.
see the director's cut? They released it a little while later, and there was a little bit of that in there. Like
Yeah,
they added a few little things in there, and I was like, that was horrible. Like, what the hell were they thinking? Like, no, it was better the first time. So,
yeah,
yeah, it just ruins it.
it does. It does. And there's some directors and some that, like I won't throw them underneath the bus, but like the Transformer movies. So everybody uh, um, who just live on big explosions and crazy things. Like,
Yes.
of course, like when you got that big of a budget and you can do these insane things, you're going to make a little bit of money doing it. But is it creatively satisfying? To me,
Yes.
that would almost be like selling my soul at the crossroads. Like I don't know if
100%.
I want, and that's where Tyler and I completely agree. Like we've been friends for close to 10 longer than 10 years now, 15 years, and we're the exact opposite. Like I'm this big redneck and he's this little bitty frail guy, little bitty frail old golf kid, but we got so much in common. You look at us and think we have
Mhm.
these guys nothing in common, and we have a lot in common, and that is something that we both agree and want to do with Terror Barn is story and get that right. And everything else, the big explosions and things, that's great. But get that story right where it sucks people in. And
Well, that's it. I think I was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was the epitome of having money and no good movie was the second Independence Day. I don't even think I made it. It was what a piece of. I'm sorry if anybody likes it, but I couldn't believe what I was watching and the budget that they had for that with all the great things they could do, and that's what you come up with, really? Like it was
yes,
insulting. It was insulting.
give that money to some of these independent to
Oh
production
right.
and
Oh
see what happens with it. To me, that's my. I think this is just a theory, of course, because I only got to look behind the curtain for a brief while with Universal. But I think what they do is just kind of anything that can make a quick buck. The story doesn't
right.
matter.
Yeah.
It's just a big cash grab, and the story is almost secondary to a lot of these major productions. And I think overall, I mean, if you look before COVID even hit, if you look at a span of 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
to me, anyways, there has not been that movie that is going to age well. That's going to be
Right.
that great. Um, of course, Martin Scorsese, anything he touches is still going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But you still got your phenomenal guys hanging around. But it's almost like a dying breed in these major productions because they're just wanting to throw a $3 million film out there, and that's even considered low budget. These guys are
Yeah.
like going for like 100 million, 300
Yeah.
million, like these crazy, insane budgets, and they're just blowing stuff up, and not really. There's it's hard to find a good story in any of Michael Bay, right? These
Yeah.
guys like. And then it always puzzles me too because we're talking about storytellers. Stephen King, his books are so phenomenal and paint this beautiful image. And I think where they go wrong from book to film with Stephen King's
Mhm.
pieces is they want to make it these crazy outlandish, like you mentioned the remake of it, which they ruined Pennywise in a
Yeah.
lot of ways for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because they did all these crazy CGI weird things when you could just went back to the original
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, of course, there's things in the book like I was explaining to my wife, she's never read the book, but on how these kids end up connecting is a lot different in the book. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
it's a lot more graphic and there's some weird things there. Of course, I can see why they wouldn't put that on film,
Right.
but keep it practical, keep it, level. Don't, make these crazy, like the weird, uh, what's that weird, like, Pennywise's mother in
Oh
the name, when she, this weird CGI
yeah.
torpedo booby monster running at people, and it's like, why? You could have made that just as creepy if she
Yeah.
rounded that corner just as her in great makeup. That's just I mean, of course, all this is very subjective. I'm sure there's people out
It
there
is.
who loved all of that, but to me, and I think you and I both agree, like, keep it practical, and it has more of an impact because people are becoming so numb to these major explosions and these creepy Godzilla CGI things that
Yeah.
it's not having an effect anymore.
Well,
And
when you get a new toy, you want to play with it all the time, right? And when
sure,
CGI came out, that's what everybody wanted to do, right? I know even like I'm a fan of the animation shows. Like I'll watch Family Guy and South Park and all of that. And when they ended up getting enough of a budget to go to a CGI type, you can see
yes,
the difference in it. Um, it changes the landscape of it. It gives it a different view. I don't know. I don't hate it as much in the animation as I do in the film, like in a live action film. Now, if you're going from like, if we're talking book to film genre, that's a whole, that's a whole topic on its own that we could have.
sure.
I mean, Stephen King for sure, but we were talking even about the Harry Potter books. My
Mm,
husband's now reading the books. He'd never read the books. He'd only ever seen the movies.
ooh, yeah,
And you can't. My son, it was a rule. I said you have to read the book before you watch the movie. That was the rule,
sure,
right? And
sure.
so he had a better idea, but it's so different in the books. And of course, you can't put everything in the books that you put in the movies, and not everything translates as well in books to screen, right? As it
Yeah,
would be if you were just writing a screenplay. So they have to take some liberties and change some things, and some things work out and some things don't. Um, I don't know. There's some people that just won't watch the remakes of books. They won't watch. They'll read the book and then they don't want to watch the movie. Um,
I think it's so hard because when you're reading these books, you build these characters in your head,
yeah.
right, of the way it's more personable to
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
Like me, I've read Stephen King's It,
Hmm.
and everybody knows how thick that book is. I think I've
Yeah.
read that at least 3 or 4 times in my life,
Hmm.
just because the image I paint of Pennywise in my own head is so damn terrifying that
Right.
like
Right.
I think the original It come close
Yeah.
to my image of
Yeah.
Pennywise, but yeah, I think that's a big struggle, and I think you're definitely right. We could do probably a whole podcast of book to film
Yeah.
and things of that nature because there's success stories of it, but there's also a lot of failures that just didn't resonate, and the books are always so much better in my opinion because
I
there's a
agree.
lot more detail and a lot more graphic and
Yeah.
because writing a book, you have to be more detailed. You have to look at the very like trivial things and magnify them
Yes.
and film not necessarily. I mean, you have to, but you can kind of glaze over a lot of stuff. So I think that's like you said, that's probably a whole podcast that we can do in the
Yeah.
Indie
That's a
Stream
whole different.
podcast. Yeah,
I don't
but
know. I've had discussions with people that say that they shouldn't be doing that. I've had discussions with people who say that are so literature oriented. It's just don't. They shouldn't be touching the books and making them into movies. I kind
sure,
of feel that way a little bit about like there was a huge chunk of time not long back where it was all remakes, right? It was
sure,
all
yeah,
remakes of all the Halloween and all the I don't know. They even redid The Haunting, and they just remakes and remakes. And I think that's where they're making a fast buck too, right? Oh, we
Right.
can make this better. We can put in a CGI monster and make this even scarier. We can make this doorknob move that we couldn't do before. So let's do it that way. Is it, I guess it's worth it to them. And then, you get a new generation of kids or people who see it, and that's the first one they see.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
they think it's even better because that's the first one they've seen. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. I still go back to the originals.
Oh yeah, me too. I mean, that was me being a crazy Michael Myers fan. When I heard they was going to remake it, I was like, "Oh man, don't,
Yeah, yeah.
don't mess this up for me." Like, and then I heard Jamie Lee Curtis was on board, so I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's a little bit better.
because yeah, I mean, to me, you got to have the shape, and you got to have Jamie Lee Curtis, or you do not have a Halloween movie. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
that's that's the antagonist, and
That's how we
uh,
felt about it.
yeah. So when I seen it, and then my wife and I went to the theater and watched it. I loved it. I'm like, I loved, and that's the first remake. And then this
Yeah.
is my religion. Like this is my
Yeah.
franchise. Like I love it.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there with the skeptic guy, and I'm thinking, man, they're gonna kill my film. I know they're gonna. And then by the end of it, I'm like, I freaking love how they did this. Like now Laurie Strode is this badass, and I love the way they killed off Laurie and Michael being siblings.
Right.
And the biggest reason is it makes it more relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like just running into a random dude and he stalks you and wants to kill you for no reason other than he's just psychotic,
Mm-hmm.
that could happen when you go to the grocery store to get a gallon of milk.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I love a lot of things they did, but you're right. Like in 2021, there's so many remakes dropping. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think it is kind of like what you said. It is to a sense where they're just kind of for the lack of ideas and the lack of just being lazy, because there's ideas and there's great indie pictures out there that would be great major productions that they could pick up, but they'd rather just go back to what they know has worked before and add the CGI to it, I think. And
It's a
that's
way to make money. Yeah. So I would say to I don't know what the fuck, Mike. Thank you for coming. Thank you for popping in. Why should I support indie films? I think art is subjective, and some people love music, some people love visual art, some people love literature. It's whatever you find moves you, and when you think of the impact that art has on our society as a whole, culturally, you have to find, if it's something that you believe in and it's something that helps you get through life. We've all got to just get through, right? We've all got to do our thing. I know movies have helped me get through a lot of stuff in my life, and that's why I do what I do. If it's something that you feel is worth your time and your money, then that's why you should support it. It's really, it's very personal. Art is so personal.
Yeah, and like going on the personal thing, you supporting indie films and independent filmmakers, you're more involved, right? You got more of a personal stake. Say if you just threw $10 at this production because you believed in it, now in some way that becomes your baby too.
Absolutely. Then if you go to a ticket, and you buy a ticket to $1 billion movie, you don't have as much of a stake in it.
Yeah, if you donated that $10 to the production of that film, now you got a stake in it, and you can say, "Hey, you know what? If people start talking and you want to share it out, like, hey, I help fund that. Look, my name's in the producer credit rolls.
That's right, exactly.
That's a big thing too. And why should you support indie films?
Yeah.
One, there's a lot of great storytellers out there that just does not have the budget of a Sony or Warner Brothers or Universal Studios, and you can help that grow, and you can be a part of that growth. So I think that's another. It's all personal, being personal, more personable, and just having that investment.
Yep, definitely, much more involved.
And then perfect timing. What the fuck, Mike? If it's let me do it.
I like that name. I don't know why it's funny.
Yeah, he's part of our roundtable family at Get Together. Mike's
I
pretty.
like that.
He's a great comic.
Oh, cool.
Just being on YouTube, like I believe he could do great on a stage if he wanted to. He got
Right
some
on.
great timing, and you can just see some people got great timing comedically, and
Hmm.
what the fuck, Mike's one of those guys like in our roundtable community that really has
Yeah.
that great timing. So me and him like to roast each other a little bit from time to time. He's good people. Um,
It's funny, so you were talking about that. I had some people that just get such a kick, and I'm not quite sure why, but they really enjoy the fact that they have a name on a film, or that they can go onto IMDb and see that they have a credit on IMDb because they donated like $50 to a film or something like that. Like it's a big deal for them, and I love that. And plus, if somebody does donate money to us, I am 100% going to listen if if they have something to say, if they have an opinion, ideas, things like that. I think it's important. It's a community, you know?
sure, yeah, and that's kind of like with because you already got production. You're going to be in the production roles for my Black Door because you helped me in the spirit of the Halloween the other day. That's where all that went to. For that, I
That's
mean,
good stuff, man.
so I mean that there and there you go. What the fuck, Mike? There's a link. You can click that link there. That is my PayPal. And I also got like an Amazon list, but that's kind of for me and Tyler to be buying off of. But there's props there. I can share that out.
Yeah.
Because of course there's other bigger pieces of equipment that Tyler and I is going to end up having to get because I fell in love with Black Magic
Mm.
cameras. Like I love
Yes.
like I got the Pocket 4K, and that camera is like to me can do everything a red camera can do
Right.
with such a third or 18th of the budget. Like it's a fun. I mean, it's still fairly expensive camera. I think the body now, just the body is like maybe 1 to 2,000 just for the body.
Right.
Um, and of course, it's all prime. The lenses I got are all prime, which
Mhm.
I love too because it's forcing me to learn um, the quick focus. Having the quick focus knob and learning that beautiful track as this just the geeky stuff people wouldn't understand unless you do it. Like
It's good
I
stuff.
love, yeah, I love the prime. I love doing the manual focus and learning the tracks and the specs and all that. So it's
Yeah.
not no, it's not a porn. The Black
You
Door,
missed it earlier. It could have been.
it could have been, but
Maybe.
the wife nicked that one in the butt. No, the Black Door is going to be a psychological thriller, um, and hopefully we'll get a real trailer instead of the little teasers that I put out. Like I want to get a real trailer done within the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping, anyways, to kind of put that out. And of course, to do a trailer, you got to have a finished product and pick from it, and
Yeah.
kind of give the synopsis in a trailer form.
Yep.
At least that's my imagery of a trailer is the synopsis in
Yep.
video. Um, which see again, people say, "Can you do it without film school?" Yeah, you can. But for people like me, I would have no idea what a synopsis was if I
Right.
didn't was forced to film school. And that and the Save the Cat books, which I think are almost like the Bible, almost for screenwritings, because
Right.
I've read all three of the Save the Cats, and I got them right down here. I mean, there's great books that can teach you. Like the Final Cut is great it's a great book for editing, and
Right.
there's a lot of great books that I got. Just kind of I can pull out of here without maybe causing everything to collapse. This is another great one. The Cheap Movie Tricks. I did cause a collapse somewhere. That'll be all right.
Sorry, I'm trying to read. This is a point to see how to should run. I should run. Well, I don't know. I've been around a lot of pretty crazy people. I've had people message me on IMDb and ask me to send oh, here's a side I'd like you to read, and in it you have to take your shirt off and just random.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I'll get right on that. Thanks. Yeah, sure.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you would get a lot of
Weirdo.
yeah. I mean, of course, that's a big industry, and to each their own. But I don't think I want. I don't.
not the way I want to go. No.
No, and I don't think people would want to see this dad bod and something like that. Anyways,
Yeah.
like I think that would kind of.
Yeah.
I don't think man boobs are a big driving force into that. Which I've done better. Like within the last, I was the heaviest I've ever been in my life. Like 3 to 4 months ago, I was 255 pounds.
Wow.
And 6 foot, 255 pounds. I mean, I was starting to get that gut, but now I'm back down to 215 within 3 months. And that's just because I picked up smoking meth.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
No, I figure if I'm going to be on screen and have to do a lot of these things, I got to at least have the discipline to get my body in somewhat of shape to do that. So,
Do they hand you a set before you come?
Yeah, that's how we get those crazy 13-hour those 13-hour days. Just take a blast. Just take a blast, and you're good to go.
It's true. Dad bods are very in. That's right.
Well, I didn't want to be a part of the end, and I wanted to cut it down. And my doctor's like, "Hey, 195 with your skeleton frame. Like 195 is where I want you, and then you can build muscle on top." So.
Right.
I reverted back to because I did the MMA thing for a while as well, which is, I guess that's a form of entertainment. That's where I picked up my CTE, my concussion disorder. But I kind of reverted back to that, like the fight camps where it's all raw. You eat nothing but raw. Like, and when I say raw, there's no pastas, there's no breads,
Right.
there's no sugars, just, raw meat, raw vegetables, like not raw meat, like it's cooked, but there's no breading,
Right.
I'm not in the kitchen gnawing on a bloody steak and but reverted back to that, and I'm hoping to drop weight down enough to where I can start building back up. And I thought me being about to close in on 35 and being married with 5 kids, I didn't have to work out anymore. Like that stage of my life was over. And then the film thing come along. I'm like, damn it, you got to do it again.
And it really hits you when you see yourself on a full-size screen. You're like, holy crap, I got to cut that right out of what I'm eating. And that it makes a big difference. Yeah,
it
you
does.
think you're doing fine and you're not. It's a hell of a wake-up call.
Yeah, that's for sure. When you get on that camera and you see yourself, you're like, oh man, that's me.
Ugh.
Let's see if I can. I'm going to share again. Put your link in the chat here so everybody can check out Julianne's work. She is a fantastic actress, and you guys got to check out it's the Redwood Will.
Yeah, well, it's not on the main page. If you go to my playlists, it's on there. I have a playlist that has a whole bunch of stuff. What I'll do though is I'll send you links to the feature films that we have. Now, Crusher we made available to everybody during COVID, just so people could watch something while they were at home. That'll probably be ending soon because that one's going to be, it looks like it'll be on Amazon Prime in a bit. But I'll send you the links to, I'd love for you to check out Scarecrow Club. And
sure, yeah, I've written that down on my notes too. Yeah, so
a couple of the other ones, and like I said, there's one in there that's a lot of fun. We got a little bit of a cult following for it. It's called Bloody Bachelor Bash, and it was written by a friend, and it's about a 15-minute film. It's sort of a funny horror short where there's like a clown killer going around, and there's hookers and dancing and all that fun stuff for you guys. So there's something for everyone in there.
I was just watching a little before we went live. Because you told me that beforehand, and I went and watched it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I really love your character and the Redwood film. Will I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but watch till the end because. That's when Julianne's true colors come out.
That's right. That's the real thing.
Yeah, see, there you go. What the fuck, Mike? The hookers, you're in there.
Yeah, right. There you go. Hookers and dancing, and there's a bunch of girls a lot prettier than me in there, and a lot of fun. Yeah, it was. Those movies are so much fun to make, though.
Yeah. The pieces I've watched of yours, what I love about your acting skills is the way you're able to convey. Like I'm really like when I watch anything. My wife hates watching movies with me now since I've I've done this because I'm like picking out like, okay,
Right.
this is who's doing that and this, but I love like watching your pieces that you have because the way you convey messages just through your facial expressions is
Oh,
freaking phenomenal.
oh, thank
And
you. That's cool.
I really enjoy that. Like even watching the Redwood Will, which I keep reverting to because I've watched that like 20 times now, I think. But
Wow.
um, I just love how you go from here to here, and it's like that's badass. That's that's
That's cool.
I love it. I absolutely loved it,
Cool. No, it's
and
fun. Theater acting versus film acting is very different. So that was a bit of a switch, right? Because in
sure,
the theater, you have to be very big, and that was where all my training. And then the film, you gotta bring it all down. So um, it's a learning curve for sure.
yeah. I mean, for me, I've never, I was in drama in high school for a week before I got kicked out. For trying to make Romeo a little bit different. So
Uh-oh.
I got I got kicked out like instantly. Like I
Uh-oh.
remember it was like the second or third week, and of course, the first piece you're doing is Romeo and Juliet, and I got the role of the Romeo, but I wanted to make it a little. I was an idiot kid,
Me too.
so they didn't appreciate my sense of humor when I was calling out for Juliet, and so that was the only acting whatever I had was just that 2 weeks of. And the rest of this is just me being an idiot. Like that's I look at something like and again the Universal thing. My character created Twitch. I don't know if you watched any of those videos, but
Mhm.
that one's closed in on like 50,000 views, and that was just me just being an idiot and being bored and watching all these conspiracy theories and like, man, I wonder what a guy that would stay up for 3 days and
Yeah.
and he was a meth addict and is also schizophrenic. How would he react? And I just do these stupid things. Well, the Universal, the big Zoom call with them, they was expecting me to have some of these ticks, and
Yeah.
I'm like, no, no, I don't have none of those. This is me being stupid, man. Like I don't have none of those ticks. But that's something that I need to focus more on is learning the trade. If I'm being in front of the camera, I want to respect that and delve into it enough and learn to project properly and not disrespect that art. Hey, Gaffa, how we doing, buddy? Because
I don't want
that
to
right,
be body glitter. No, thanks. Thanks, though.
yeah, no. Uh,
You've given birth. That's all you want your body to go through. No more. I'm
and
done.
that right there is nature's scary movie.
Man.
Jesus.
Yeah, no.
Yep, I've been there. I've been in there 4 times
No,
underneath the
I
hood.
couldn't imagine it. Yeah. No, I have one, and that's enough for me.
And altogether, we have 5. I had 2 before we got married, and she had 1, and then we made 2 more. Um,
Wow.
so I've got to see that sci-fi movie a couple times, and
If you did. Yeah.
that's another film within itself. Seeing a human being come out of another human being is kind of it's magical, but it's creepy. At the same time.
It's exhausting. Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Wow.
we've been going about an hour and a half now, but for everybody, make sure you guys go check out and subscribe to Julianne's channel. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And also the Terror Barn, the links in the description for both of those. It's Tyler and I's production. Guys, go check both of those out. If you're into indie films, Julianne and I is going to be here. I think every Friday night probably, and just talking, just
Yeah, that'd be
you
cool.
know, talking about independent films and how they go and what we do.
Yeah.
So is there any closing remarks you'd like to tell everybody, Julianne? Or
No, I think though, if anybody has ideas or things that they want to know or things that they'd like to see us talk about, or maybe you can put it underneath, the video. I'm assuming you're leaving this up, and
yeah,
and people can shout out ideas, things they might want to talk about, or you know. I love to hear too about other people's favorite films and film experiences and things that they like and why you like them, and we can do different genres, and it doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be the same thing. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like Julian said, just leave your suggestions and what you'd like to see us talk about, and maybe there's things behind the camera that you don't know that you'd like to know.
yeah, ask away.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just ask away. Like she said, we different genres we can do.
Try
Whatever.
to keep them clean, Mike, just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little family friendly.
Yeah, just a little. This not so much Pornhub. Closer to you don't got to be the Disney streaming network, but you can't be Pornhub. But
You too, Gatha.
I appreciate everybody in here that watched our first episode of this IndieStream. Catch us next Friday at the same time, and thank you so much, Julianne, for taking the time and doing this podcast and show with me. And I look forward to our future episodes and doing this with you and some of the knowledge you could bestow on me. And hopefully, when the COVID stuff gets over, we can actually maybe possibly do a piece together. Would be
I
phenomenal.
love that for sure. Yeah.
Again, thank you, everybody. And like always, this has been me and Julianne talking to you. And we'll see y'all next Friday at 10 o'clock. Thank you, guys.
Bye.